Welcome to the Pop Culture Cosmos.
And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Lakers Fast Break, Lakers latest inside sports, fantasy football, and the state of pro wrestling. Truly appreciate you joining us. Please go ahead and make sure you like and subscribe, that 5-star review wherever you get your podcast, and make sure you hit us up twice a week, because wherever you get your podcast, we're there for you. And also the radio stations around the world that still play our show, we are indebted to you for doing so, right there for you at the Pop Culture Cosmos, indeed. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. It is, of course, the mastermind behind so many great things himself, including Humanican Media, Pop Culture Cosmos, his great Medium site with all the great things that he has to say there as well, plus also as well the Plucky Gamer and more. Also, go ahead and make sure you check him out today at the Happy Hoarder, happyhoarder.com, and the Humanican Media. It is, of course, Josh the Great Peterson. What's up, man?
What's up? It is Bloody Monday in the video game industry.
In more ways than one, my friend. Yes, it's a rarity that when we do this on Mondays, we record right around 7 o'clock Pacific time or 7:30 Pacific time in the United States. So usually not a lot happens because most companies are just waking up. Most people are just waking up here on the West Coast. But it's a rarity that we do get news breaking when we come on the air. But unfortunately, it has, and so we'll get into it, my friend. But I just wanted to check, how was your 4th of July weekend? Putting that aside, how was your 4th of July weekend, my friend?
It was good. It was uneventful, man. So we went to get some fireworks, and I had not realized just how expensive even out in Texas fireworks had become. So, we bought usually, right? They're like in years past, you'd go with say $100 and come back with like a ton of stuff. But now we paid 60, came back with one cylinder that had like 18 shots in it, went up into the air, and ooh, that's it. All right, guys, let's go back inside,
It's funny because that's what my brother-in-law did, because we host a party at the house and he brought over the fireworks. And somebody told me, like, yeah, brother-in-law's got the fireworks this year. Oh, how much did you spend? $300. $300. And
Yeah.
he also had those cylinders, no sparklers, not even sparklers. We used my old sparklers from last year. We had like cases and cases of that seemingly still left over, so we used a lot of that. But he did the cylinder thing, and he had about five. I want to say 5 or 6. I have to look at my trash because we watered them down and threw them in the trash. But I think it's 5 or 6 for $300. And you're right, it's like they put off a good show, because it, as it goes down to the powder sets off a different thing and different thing, for like 30 seconds, sometimes 90 seconds. So it's really cool. And then 5 minutes later, you're done.
Yep. That's it. Yeah, I mean, it goes a lot. It goes a lot fast. You don't realize how fast they go until after you light them, and then by the time you get back to your chair, it's done.
Indeed it is. But before we get to all the bad news, how are you doing gaming wise? Because I want to go ahead and talk about my gaming experience so far that I getting through the weekend on. But I wanted to give a big shout out before on as far as the good parts of video games, the reason why video games exist. But before we get into that, I wanted to hear your thoughts on where you're at as far as gaming wise. We haven't caught up in a while on that.
So I finished. Did I tell you I finished Control finally? It's taken me months, but I finally finished that game.
The first one.
The first one, yeah. And I can't remember if I said this on the last show. So I kept putting off playing Alan Wake 2 until I played Control, because they did that expansion, and the internet was very undecided on whether or not you needed to know what happens in the Control Alan Wake expansion. So in the expansion, you're basically, so in the first, anyone who's played the first game, I think did you dabbled in there? You watched the videos of it, right? So
I've dabbled in both, but I saw the videos of Wake 2 more, as far as it going to a TV like talk show production, like weird horror type thing. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
go
in
off the deep
Alan
end even more. So
Yes, right. So in Alan Wake 1, the whole premise is like his girlfriend Alice like tricks him into going up to Cauldron Lake to see this like therapist guy. I forget what his name is, and that's what kickstarts the whole like thing where the curse of Cauldron Lake, right? And it traps Alan Wake and blah blah blah. But in Control, it shows that I guess Alan Wake was like an experiment for this guy, and it shows what happened to this therapist doctor in Control. He like turned into this monster. So in Control, you have to like kill the doctor. Um, but in Alan Wake 2, I started it and I sat there thinking to myself, like immediately, right? Like what is this? Like what am I playing? Because it opens up with like a bunch of male nudity, and you're not Alan Wake. You start out the game playing as like a naked guy, then you're an FBI agent, and then I finally got to the point where I was Alan Wake like a couple days ago, and I'm still sitting there playing like this is not what I know and love about Alan Wake. Like this is what I don't even know what I'm playing. I don't understand it. I can't like I'm incredibly confused by what's going on. So so far, man, this makes me sad, but it's not my favorite game.
well, that was why, even though it was critically rated high, it just seemed to not endear itself to a larger audience. It just didn't seem to get it didn't expound on the Alan Wake universe, and I still see Alan Wake at some point in time being adapted into Hollywood as far as one of those video game
Yeah.
adaptations I see happening. But I see them combining elements of Alan Wake 2, like with the weird talk show setup. I think if that fits more to a real life adaptation, TV adaptation, than works for me from what I saw into a video game format. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like I like the Alan Wake one, like it's sacred ground for me. Like it's a Xbox 360 title that is just it's a core memory on that console for me. And like it bums me out to see like what they've done with it. And I know people have liked it. It's like it's meta, right? It's outside the box, but it's just not great. But you've got some thoughts on what have you been playing, man? It sounds like you've been playing something. I'm dying to know what it is.
Well, I told you before. Still playing it. Still on my way with 007 First Light. Right here.
Oh, okay.
Physical copy, by the way. Woohoo! Yes, in my Xbox Series
There
X
we
now.
go. There we go.
And there we go. We'll talk about physical here in a little bit because Josh is, obviously got a lot to say about that. But I will say, 36 hours in, I'm having a great time.
Still digging it.
I don't want to say spoilers where I'm at as far as who I'm battling right now, but 36 hours in, I'm clearly going to say this is the game of the year so far. And GTA, and that's the problem in the whole hubbub of GTA 6 or anything else like Gears of War E-Day or anything else coming after it. I think this is a game that might get swept under the rug, and it'll be a shame because this is truly the best James Bond video game that's been made. I know that GoldenEye for N64 is so romantically loved by so many, including myself. And for what they could do at the time, it's fantastic. It was especially the multiplayer. That's still incredible. But the best James Bond story, Everything or Nothing, I loved. I thought that was a really underrated game. Period, outside of James Bond or otherwise. But yeah, this really, it's got a couple of little storyline, script, plot things I would have changed earlier in the story, kind of tweaked. One sets itself up for a DLC, I think, and the other just kind of just would have tweaked it a little bit. But as it's gone along, it's really gotten good, and it's absolutely stands on its own as a great James Bond story.
Yeah. So so that is what I was sitting there thinking. so my wife and I went to look at games, right? Because she's trying to figure out like what to give me for my birthday, and like there were titles that like I
By the
wanted to
way,
play.
I did reach you. Happy birthday for last week, which was last week.
Thanks, man. I know I still got a bunch of like Facebook things I haven't responded to.
You don't
It's
have to
tough,
respond to
man.
me. You did here. You're good.
I know, but I was talking to someone about this the other day. Like even like text messages when people send me stuff, like especially on my birthday, because I get a lot of them. Like I have a trouble because like you know I got 5 kids, man. So every time I like sit down and text someone, like one of the kids will like have to go to the bathroom or somebody poop themselves, you know, and so like I stop mid doing something and then I just forget to go back to it. But anyways, yeah, so we went to Best Buy to like kind of look around at games, and I was like, there's a bunch of things that I wanted to play over the course of the year, but I couldn't remember what they were. So I was like, and I know James Bond was one of them. I just had completely forgotten about it, you know. So like I do really want
Missing
to
out.
play this game. I really want to play it. I gotta you know, next time I'm in a place to buy it, I'll probably end up buying it.
It's really worth it, man. I highly recommend it. It's one of the best games I've played overall in a while. It's got an engaging story. You want to stay with it. The gameplay elements of it, whether it's the Hitman-like stealth or whether it's shooting gallery action or uncharted climbing, which they don't do ad nauseum, which is good. I was worried that they were going to just try to emulate Uncharted and just climb on everything, and they don't, which I'm very thankful for. They just sprinkle it in. But yes, it's a lot of it. The Hitman DNA bleeds through from IO Interactive. It bleeds through the entire game, and it's actually for the better, and it makes it very interesting. Do you want to try and go at it guns blazing, or fists of fury, or do you want to just try and go through a little bit more cerebral? I'm trying to approach it from a cerebral fashion. I'm usually I don't care. I don't have enough patience. I'm just going to go in gunslinging,
Yeah,
and
right.
I've chosen a more cerebral approach to it about how you do things, about eavesdropping on conversations, trying to
Yeah.
manipulate people and con people into giving me information or giving me things I need. And to me, that's been the most rewarding thing, is that I'm able to go ahead and do that. So yeah, I highly recommend it if anybody's out there. So,
Okay, let me ask you a question before we get into the Microsoft, all the stuff that's
all the
confirmed.
bad stuff.
Yeah. Let me ask you about a certain rumor that's been floating around. This is rumor, all right? This is not fact. So this is why we can take a walk down Rumor Street once, return to Rumor Street, all right? Uh,
Rumorville, indeed. Yes.
Rumorville. That I've read a lot, and it's not just like one site speculating, it's multiple sites not speculating but saying they know that this is going to happen, um that Microsoft is shifting development of Halo under Activision.
Yeah, you're the second one I've seen. I saw that on Facebook. I don't know about that per se. That I know Jason Schreier did not say that in that, because I watched his entire video. He did
Yeah.
not indicate that was going to be the case. It wouldn't surprise me if that eventually happens, but because we're going to talk about more in detail, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, my friend.
Yeah, well, it's I mean, you know, makes sense, and I don't think I would necessarily be opposed to it. I just don't want it to become an annual title like Call of Duty, you know, and I
I
don't
would rather see it go under id personally. I would rather see id take over the way they've dealt with the Wolfenstein franchise. I would rather
yeah.
see it under id. That would be my preference.
I absolutely agree. Like I would love, I mean, if even like taking it under is yeah, but it makes Doom also, right? Like those
Mhm.
Doom, Wolfenstein, like those they're beautiful, and they are good storytelling game. Not well, Doom's not a good storytelling game, but like
Well,
Wolfenstein
those
is.
those are going to be still stories that they're going to tell in the future. Asha Sharma indicated that or actually, I'm sorry, Jason Schreier's report indicated that those stories, Quake even was mentioned as far as a possible story
It's
being
a,
revived and
it's a
told later on. So,
forgotten franchise. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I just as long as it just gets the care and love it deserves. Like to me, like the most important thing about Halo is the story, and I know Microsoft doesn't see it that way. They're like, oh, we want player retention, so we're gonna just multiplayer. But like to me, Halo has always been the story, and I think that's where Bungie has gotten it right all these years. Is like they are a studio about storytelling, and it's the having the ability for everybody to be playing together is kind of like has always been second. Like, but they've done both really well, mind you. But yeah, I mean, I just hope whatever happens to it that they pay mind to the story.
Well, we'll see what happens, my friend, because we are going to talk about here Xbox. But if you're having some good times on video games, what video games really are all about, we know it's become astronomically expensive. We know it's become really, in some ways, a job, a chore, a task because of all the negativity around what's going on with the gaming industry. But if you still have fun playing video games, please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, let's get into it. Talked about the good news, my friend. It's now time to talk about the bad news. Here it comes.
Much of it.
And we got this breaking just before we went on air, and not good news. Not good news. And that Xbox just announced, I guess, they waited for the 4th of July weekend. Very nice of them to do so. They've announced that 4 studios at the beginning, 2 Double Fine and Compulsion are Xbox and once again becoming independent studios, taking their IP with them. By the way, so at least you know what Xbox are not being jerks to the point where they're keeping the IP. They're allowing them to take the IP with them. So I think that for Psychonauts fans,
Because everybody loves those games.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. I think that's why Xbox is getting out of Jason Schreier said they're getting out of the double A or indie level looking games or indie level game success type business, and I can't say I disagree with that because obviously as great as South of Midnight looked, as great as Keeper and all the other games that Double Fine has produced, they're just not commercially acceptable, commercially viable enough to where it's going to help Xbox substantially. So those 2 companies are gaining their independence, and I wish them the best. And I hopefully this will now allow them creativity that won't be hindered in any way. So we'll go ahead and see even more great things from those 2 companies going forward. Because again, while I like their games, I just understand that they weren't part of the bigger picture for Xbox, and I get that. 2 other games, Undead Labs and Ninja Theory with State of Decay 3 and Senua. Those games are currently in the closing stages, and within I guess a year, within the next year and a half of both of those games coming out. Both those games have been sold off. Both those games have been sold off, but they did not name the new buyers, which was strange. They didn't name who that was, but I'm sure that will come out in due time.
Nintendo, guys, it's broken. It's Nintendo. Just kidding.
I'd love to see Undead Labs being run by Nintendo. That would be crazy. But I want to go ahead and also say a 5th company, development studio, Arcane, is also their future is in question because due to France's labor laws, they have to go through a process to decide for consultation. Xbox does to decide what's next. So they cannot immediately be closed, shuttered, layoff, changed, or what have you. But there is something that's going to go on with Arcane Studios, to say the least, which obviously puts, as been noted in recent days, the Marvel Blade game in very serious jeopardy, which is a shame because Blade just never gets a deal. Whether it's the movie or whether it's the game, they just never get a fair shake. It's just a shame.
Yeah, that's true. It is a shame, man.
But I do also want to go ahead and state that they're laying off immediately with what's ever left as far as all the rest of the studios and whatnot and all games affected. I believe up to 1,600 people now and up to 1,600 people within the next 12 months. Also, Minecraft is now going to be the Mojang, the studio, is going to be reporting directly to Asha Sharma. I think that they have bigger plans for Minecraft as if they can get bigger. I don't know what they could be, but obviously they realize they've had a lot of success there. But yes, some big changes with and Xbox Studios. This was not unexpected, man. We've been seeing it coming for a little while. I think it's just again all these things that have caught up over the past 15 years or 14 years now since E3 2012. All those mistakes from Don Matrick and his big mouth to that's my opinion to
Buying
what we've seen here.
buying
To,
studios, man.
yes, to buying studios, to buying. I mean, some of them I would have done. I would have done ZeniMax. I would have done Bethesda.
Oh,
I
for
think I would have
sure.
done
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but the Activision deal we've said this before. The Activision deal we would not have. Yeah,
That was the tipping point, man. That was the I think that's where the dire financial situation started was with all the money they pumped into Activision
and fighting the antitrust suits and all that stuff.
antitrust suits, and then Activision their games weren't performing, and then none of the other studios were putting things out. Like it was the perfect storm.
It was indeed, and again, with that said, Activision, we buying into that so much, and already seeing, as we have talked about on the show for years, how the decline of Call of Duty as the premier franchise started. It was already starting on its downhill run. The way they mismanaged Game Pass for making it something that was the best deal in gaming and not advertising it to advertising it and then becoming a joke from what it once was. And then, just absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt you, man, but this is hot thought on my mind, man. Speaking of Game Pass, what do you think about all the, there's actually been official correspondences going around about a possibility of Game Pass disappearing. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a definite possibility, or it's going to be modified heavily in some form or fashion. I think that is going to be revamped and it possibly gotten rid of, because the fact is they want to go back to what made them special and what made it, as far as profitable for the company, and that's just selling outright software at full price and full pop. And going from there. Now, maybe they'll have some type of service like Game Pass still available, but that will be probably like a PlayStation Plus thing, or what you're seeing with PlayStation, where the first run games do not get anywhere near a compensated or discount fashion, and they're sold outright for a year, 2 years before they're ever put on a discounted format like you see with PlayStation Plus right now.
Yeah, well, we talked about this, right? Like we talked about this way back when they first announced it. Like, what's the profit model going to look like? How are they going to know how much money they're making? How are these studios going to make money? Like it still sounds like it's all very, very ambiguous, even to Microsoft.
It was Netflix, my friend. It was Netflix when they saw them go to 100 million, 200 million subscribers. Their plan, because Netflix doesn't make money at 100 million subscribers.
Yeah.
They don't make money at they make money at 300 billion subscribers and more.
Right.
They put so much into content that, a lot of times it's break even for Netflix, but now that they have so many subscribers, that's where they're making their profit. That's what they wanted to do with Xbox. They wanted to get to 100 million subscribers on Game Pass, and that's how they were going to make a profit through that, of just having a sheer amount of subscribers paying for the service. But they never even got, they got to a third of that, and that's probably the best they ever did.
Yeah. It's and I've enjoyed my time with it, but I'm not like Brian, and Dr. Donna from Super BS. Like they played like a ton of indie games and stuff, right? Like I've only ever had time to play like the big games and a couple of indies. So I think about all the money I put into Game Pass over the years, I would have much rather just bought the games outright and owned them, as opposed to, we'll get into physical ownership in a second. But as opposed to just paying the $21 a month for the Game Pass for the past 5 years.
Well, it's not good, man. It's not good. But I mean, Xbox, at least it's still trying to survive in some form or fashion. We don't know if Project Helix is going to be affected by this, but when she keeps on throwing out Arsha Sharma in her statements about how much the sheer cost, has risen. She mentioned that I believe from 2024 to now, it now costs 5 times more to generate or for the console to be made, 5 times more than what it did 2024. I talked about, because the prices are going to go up even higher on August the 1st. I believe that's when that's if we talked about before. I've talked about how do you realize for the Xbox Series X I have sitting behind me, I will have paid one half of what it will currently be on August 1st. I will pay
Yeah,
half.
it's crazy.
And the same thing for my S. The S I've got in the box, I paid half of that of what it will be in August 1st, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, what's funny is that I was gonna say I paid the scalper's delight for the Xbox, right? I think mine was like $750, but now it's like that's that's less than what it's gonna cost for retail here in a couple months.
Absolutely. So I don't know, man. Again, just the way they should have not had the developers conference. I really think they should have postponed the developers conference, because I really think all that zip that they had from it, Josh, that they had all the juice, all how the excitement that we had for Xbox back in early June, it's gone. It's long gone. It's went out the door and it said goodbye. They should have not done anything like that. They should not have shown it anything out there. You do a developer's diary with that 30-minute developer's diary with Gears of War E-Day. Do it by itself sometime like late this month or whatnot, after everything dust is settled or whatnot. But just again, trying to showcase for an Xbox at this point, I thought was, after what we've seen afterwards, was it just totally killed it. Totally killed any buzz that they had created.
Yeah, it's funny too is like the cuts might extend far beyond. So I mean, I've already, we're Playground Games has already been told to, or Turn 10 Studios, sorry, has already been told to like cease production on any future Forza games. Except Forza
But
Horizon.
not Horizon, by the way, just the Forza Motor.
Sorry, yeah, that's what I meant. Not Horizon. Horizon's still good, but the racing sim, the regular racing sim is like, they're like, we need to re-examine it. So I don't know. It's just we don't know what, even after all this stuff happens, we don't know what still might happen within a month. I mean, it's just been a roller coaster.
Yeah, it has been a roller coaster, and we don't know where they could actually end up shutting it down, the Xbox, or sell it off to. And the thing is, if they sell it off to investors, like those entities that just try to swallow up as far as certain aspects, certain studios and whatnot. We haven't seen anything good. Capital,
Tencent, right? That's what they're just
yeah. It will be just throwing. It's just gone. The Xbox brand will be gone. So I don't know. It's hanging by a thread, the Xbox, at this point in time, in my opinion. And I don't know what's going to go on. I don't know what's going to go on for its future. I really have no idea. I mean, the GTA 6 came out, and there's word that it on pre-orders, it's outselling Xbox 8-1. I mean, everything Xbox has done since E3 2012, I believe it was, and the introduction of the Xbox One has been a miserable failure. Has been a miserable failure, and every good idea that they've had at one time being the best value in video gaming, and they've thrown it all away, either through poor messaging, poor promotion, or poor decision making from Xbox. And absolutely, you took a good product and you just threw it away. You took all the momentum that the 360 gave you, and you threw it away.
Yeah, it's hard. Like I look back, I'm like, was this Phil Spencer's fault? Like, did he lead a lot of the things that eventually led to this.
It starts with Matrick. You got to start it with Matrick, Josh. But you do have to put Phil Spencer in there because nobody put a gun to Phil Spencer's head and said buy Activision. He bought
Yeah,
Activision. He swallowed. Phil made it clear he wanted to buy up the gaming space with all these developers, and these developers all were taking Microsoft money. So they, you talk about the greed and whatnot. So they wanted it. The owners of these development studios all wanted that money, all wanted that Microsoft cash because they know it's always going to come in, and they always thought it was always going to come in, whether or
yeah,
not it was from Xbox or whatnot, because you're always selling Microsoft Windows all over the place. And yeah, at this point in time, it just they finally realized that even Microsoft has its limits, and Xbox can only run at a loss for so long. And it's just a shame, Josh, because you and I could have gone in there and or normal gamers or just smart people could have changed things in a different direction if you'd have just in that span of time at E3 2012. It just seems like it's a seminal date, that E3 20, I think it's 2012. Is it or E3 2014? I think it's
I think
2012,
it's
right?
yeah. I don't remember, man.
I'll look it up. I think I keep my brain is on E3 2012, but when it comes right to it, there's that seminal date for Xbox where everything changed.
Yeah,
And it seems like if you were to go back in time, seems that one seminal moment in time he created, and it just ever since then the company Xbox has just gone steadily downhill, like a snowball rolling down a hill. And it's just, if you'd have changed that, you don't know where it could have gone. The whole just could have gone. I think it was E3 2013. I'm sorry, E3 2013. That's going to go ahead and clarify. So it's I was you said 14, I said 12. It's right in the middle. E3 2013. So it's 11 years. It's 13 years ago. 13 years ago when Don
yeah,
Matrick made those famous words. And I'll tell you what, I am, you know, just have been a fly in the room to say, you know what, I wish you don't need to say that. Say something different. Take the Xbox Connect off the Xbox One. No always online. No digital
just
DRM. No, just sharing games is fine. If that had happened, we wouldn't be in this situation. I'm clearly am determined to say that we would not have the. I think it just sometimes you connect the dots, and I think you start the dots connecting right there, and I
yeah.
think it's gone down ever since. So yeah, just
Yeah. You know,
absolutely.
it's funny. Remember they Microsoft and this has been something they've been really bad at over the years is making promises too and not delivering on them. Remember they talked about the AR space that they were creating and nothing ever came of that, and then we had all these games they promised that never came out. And it's just it's been how much money has been wasted like being poured into stuff like that never bore fruit too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, PlayStation's not a whole lot better, so let's not go ahead because they're coming
Right,
up. We're going
right.
to start bashing PlayStation here in a minute, so they'll get their time on the Josh Peterson soapbox. So, but very sad days for Xbox, and our hearts go out to those affected adversely by the studio closures, the studio moves, and the studio sell-offs for what we see with Xbox. But if you have any thoughts on the Xbox Black Monday, as Josh called it, please let me know your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, Josh the Great Peterson is here, along with me, Gerald Glasser. Thanks again for watching, listening. It is the Pop Culture Cosmos. We are continuing the bad news, and I'm telling you, for people who, longtime viewers, longtime listeners, they see us go around. They know that one of our big loves and our, in many ways, our first love is video games, and sometimes this game. Um, Sometimes this show veers heavily into video gaming, whether it's for the best or whether it's for the worst. But video game is taking up a lot of the airspace right now, my friend, and this comes from an industry that could be vastly different in 5 to 10 years, Josh. It could be vastly 5 to 10 years. And Koopa Degen, great to see Jamie. Yeah, 2013 was the redesign of the 360, absolutely. And then it's, well, again, Xbox One at E3 2013. Don Matrick, again, just a lot of bad decisions from there. But Koopa Degen says back to 8-bit for me. Gaming is in a very dismal state. See, there you go. He's
That's funny because a lot of indie developers are going back to 8-bit too.
Yeah, and it's a shame because it's where a lot of retro gaming. Well, hopefully our friends at Retro City Games will prosper because of this. But I know you've heard it by now, Josh. PlayStation last week, after we recorded our show, announced that they will, on their first party games after January of 2028, will no longer be selling physical in-box games. So don't.
Absolutely insane.
Yep. So they're following the lead of GTA 6 and just going digital. GTA 6 will have a physical box, but will have a code inside. So no more discs as far as for PlayStation. I know this is something near and dear to your heart. I am, again, with a vast Steam library of digital stuff and Xbox library of digital stuff. I just go often where the best deals go, and I don't, but I do have at one time I had a much larger physical collection, but Retro City Games now has it. Uh, but
Nice.
I still have some of it here right next to me. But with that said, I understand the value of choice. I understand the value of wanting to choose between a physical or a digital option. And I've always had the luxury of making that choice, Josh.
Yeah.
And you're telling me PlayStation's forcing me now to go ahead and if I want to continue on progressing with their newest and latest and greatest, they're now telling me that I am no longer able to do that after January 2028. And that irks me. The fact you're taking away my choice irks me to no end. I was on the air at Lakers Fast Break and I told PlayStation to go to hell. And I will go ahead and say, you know what? I'm backing that up. I'm saying it again. If you're going to continue on that fashion, you're taking away people's choice. I understand it's a business decision. I understand that they sell a predominant amount of games on digital by far in a way. I get that. I understand that, but you're taking away people's choice, and that to me is a shame.
Okay, so let me just hit on the let's see the Jamie's comment here, right? Is that not going all digital isn't going to help these companies. Steam already has them beat. So let's talk about that for a second. The only company I trust with digital formatting is Steam, right? Because Steam has they never, unless there's been some sort of like explicit issue with a game, never have they removed something from a marketplace, right? And even if they do, there are a bunch of emulators you can use, Steam startup emulators, to start these games even if Steam won't support them anymore. So the one platform where your digital games are safe is going to be Steam. But
Yeah, I was gonna say, just be careful buying their hardware because they just raised up what the Steam Deck $300, and
oh my
the Steam
gosh,
machine
yeah.
is over $1,000 to start, which is absolutely atrocious.
Yeah.
No way, no way.
It's
I will not.
crazy. And the problem is, like, I understand why people will buy these things. And for me with like Steam, like I have a bunch of stuff on Steam, right? But the problem is, like, I like to play on my TV. So I'll connect my computer to my TV, and it's the screen formatting that Steam isn't compatible with a lot of TVs. They won't a lot of the edges of the screen will be off of the television screen, so you have to go back and minimize, like, shorten the screen to see like the little option buttons. Sometimes that's the only thing. But Sony is extra scummy in this situation because they're actually the one company that has gone on record to say, like, hey, we can take these games away, or these games, and we can take our media away from you guys at any time we want to. Like, they have gone on record to say that. And like, here, that's where it's like, yeah, it's preservation is probably the one of the main issues here, but also, like, it highlights a bigger problem, is that we have all these companies whether it's Sony, Microsoft, it could be Amazon or whatever. Like they just don't want you to own things anymore. They don't want you to own your media anymore. Like I don't know what it is. Like it's and I get that everyone has their preferences, right? Like storage is an issue. I understand that. I've got 5 kids, but like they just don't, these companies, they don't want you to own things. They want to be able to take things away, edit things, whatever, without having to consent with you at all. I know Microsoft actually just they don't just say they did it, they took over 500 plus movies. So and Sony just removed a bunch of movies saying that we don't have the right
Studio Canal, I think their
Studio
agreement
Canal,
ended, so
so it's the smart person would be the smart thing to do would be to load up on physical media as much as you can. But that also raises the question of like, you can get into like pirating, right? Is it right or wrong? But it's crazy, man. Yeah, it really just, like I said, it highlights a bigger issue of like why don't these companies want us to own anything anymore? And then you have Hideo Kojima said it best, where he said like, hey, without this physical media proves that like that I did something, that I created this art, and without this physical media, like I don't exist. And
they're keeping his game though.
Yeah,
they're keeping his game. Yes.
Yeah, and it's there's a bunch of stuff you could reference here, but even like Guillermo del Toro was like, hey, they're taking our stories away, like they're taking them away. It's up to you to preserve the stories that existed in this generation for the next generation. And as this culture is shifting to digital, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. You could wake up one morning and find that like, Alice in Wonderland or Hellboy or whatever it is, whatever your favorite movie is, Spider-Man just disappeared. It's gone. You can't get it anymore. So it's a sad state, man. And I know Xbox is already moving towards the all digital future, but now they're saying like, oh, hey, we're still making physical copies, even though you go into like a Walmart or a Target and they only have like 6 Xbox games in there. But sorry, I'm rambling, but Sony, I don't think this is the right choice for Sony, man. Like I understand why people are irritated. And I know like probably half of the people who are irritated don't buy digital or physical games anyways, but it's not a great decision.
No, it's not, and it's a shame. It's a shame that they're not doing that. The only saving grace for Xbox is that there's reported rumor. The rumors have been in the past week is that they're creating a technology where you can transfer your physical games to a digital format. So that's a possibility in the making for Xbox. So that might be something with the Project Helix, if it's able to do that, might be a game changer, pardon the pun, for Xbox. So yeah.
So if there was a way, right, not just to convert your old disc to digital, but if there was a way to take your games that you purchase digital and make a backup copy of them, like that would be that would be a whole different thing, right? I mean, I think there would be a lot of people who feel a lot more comfortable buying digital content if that were the case, but it's not. It's just this feels more like a control thing being disguised as convenience.
Absolutely. So again, it's not that huge of a cost. It cannot tell you that making the disc and making this plastic case is going to cost so much that it's going to eat so much out of your profits that it's just not worth it. You just cannot convince me of that. You cannot convince me that the standard that you've been doing for decades, all of a sudden it's just so much, like the RAM, like hard drives, like everything else that's blowing up. You cannot tell me this plastic is blowing up at that same level enough to where it's just no longer profitable enough to do. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's why it's not about the production of physical media. It's about like, and this put on your tinfoil hat, but it's just, in my opinion, it's the fact that they don't want you to own things. They don't or media. They don't want you to own media anymore. All these companies, they don't want you to own their things. They want you to be locked in a business model where you have to pay time and time again just to access that movie or play that game or whatever it might be. They want you to have to keep paying for it over and over again over time. And it makes sense, but it's also very scummy.
Koopas says, I mean, let's be real, even the last few physical discs are just a download patch most times anymore on PS.
Yeah, well, so PlayStation was actually actually one of the last companies to have more things on their disc than off the disc, right? Like there's most of
This
the time
had more. This had plenty on the disc. This had a little, of course, download update and whatnot. Of course, they all do, but this
yeah.
had enough on the disc. So
Yeah. Like PlayStation, there are games where, yeah, the entire thing is, you have to download. Call of Duty is a prime example of that. But like a lot of the times, like you have stuff out like Death Stranding, right? The game is still on the disc with Death Stranding. The Final Fantasy games are still on the disc. It just depends on what company it is. But yeah, I mean, but Xbox is just you buy the disc and all it does is you stick it in there and it accesses the download from the cloud. That's why it takes hours and hours to install an Xbox game and 15 minutes to put one on your PlayStation.
well, we'll see. But again, PlayStation has announced as of January 2028, they'll no longer, for their first party games, be offering a physical format or disc of any type. So if you have thoughts on that, I know a lot of people have shared it since the announcement was made. Is this the end of physical gaming? We'll have to see. As far as physical media is concerned, this could be the one of the final death blows for physical media. But again, the gaming industry as a whole will be changing dramatically over the next 5 to 10 years. And the thing is, will it be changing so much that it will just price or just inconvenience the gamer out?
Yeah. Yeah. It's this is and again, like you hit the nail on the head there too with like the what you pay $80 now for a game. Like we're going to a place where like people are going to stop playing new games and just go back like, oh, I can get a copy of Donkey Kong on a secondhand market for $30. I might as well play that I'm going to go re-enjoy the games from my childhood as opposed to indulging in these new experiences because you have to take out a loan or get a second job in order to support a video game habit.
And I love emulators as well. I know that Koopas said that he loves I love emulators. Sorry, because you can have access to thousands of games from the past that can take up quite a bit of your time, indeed. So we'll see what happens though with physical gaming, because physical gaming may be on its way out as a PlayStation announcement. But if you have thoughts on that, please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. But before we head out, wanted to give you an update on the 4th of July weekend at the box office, and kind of disappointing, although with the 250th celebration, Josh, of America, and also as well with the World Cup, I did a lot to compete with for Minions and Monsters as it came out on July 4th. Actually came out earlier in that week, started with a Wednesday opening, but the softest opening for the franchise in history, which is kind of ironic because it's by far and away the highest reviewed movie in the whole pantheon of Minions Despicable Me. Your thoughts, my friend, on that, as far as talking about what's going on with Minions and Monsters, which again did really great in internationally, $100 million, but only 60. But right now, 61 million in its first 5 days of release, which is kind of a disappointment for Universal.
Yeah, I don't know. My wife took and her mom took the kids to the midnight premiere of Minions. Not sure why anybody would do that, but they had fun. Um, but yeah, they said it was basically just Minions saying like banana or whatever over and over again for 2 hours, and they said like it was cute, but it was just like, well, you've seen one Minion movie, you've seen them all. But so but also like this is Universal's most profitable franchise. I mean, they could literally do anything with this movie or this franchise and make a bunch of money off of it. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's hard to say if it's going to be a slow burner or if it's just going to burn out altogether.
We'll see. We'll see if this is going to be the start of a downfall for the Despicable Me franchise. Although it's made a ton of money, you got to admit at some point there's a breaking point for Despicable Me. But it's ironic that what many will consider the best of the Minions movies is the one that's going to do worst overall.
Yeah, right. Um, yeah, I mean, it's what the last Minions movie. Did it cross $1 billion or got close to crossing $1 billion?
I think it got close, yeah. So
Pretty up there. Toy Story is doing pretty well, 764 million. I mean, that's where I feel like that might have the momentum to reach $1 billion, maybe. But yeah, it's
that one's
and
still having question. It depends what it's going to do this next week,
yeah,
in both worldwide, I think.
you got to remember too, like we're just in the beginning of summer, right? And if I don't know if you've watched the weather forecast, but like the entire United States is in a what's called a heat bubble. So I think that this is going to definitely send a lot of people into the movie theaters. So we'll see, in a couple weeks what these numbers look like. They could be a lot different.
I don't think Michael's going to make it on its first run.
No,
I think it's
no.
going to, if they do a sequel, I think they're going to release it out to get it over $1 billion at that point in time, a couple years down the line or whatnot. But it's at 978 and it's already lost. It's already out of the top 10 in the U.S. And internationally has been carrying it, but I just don't think it's going to get there. But Toy Story 5 finished just behind Minions and Monsters, down 56%. Young Washington debuted from Angel Studios at $20 million over the weekend. That was only domestic, so that's only good piece of play. Well, for obvious reasons, it's only domestic. But Supergirl down 75% when the final numbers come in. That's an atrocious number. We talked about that last week, Josh, with the fall of DC and the way that they planned that out. I thought it was absolutely stupid then, and it's absolutely stupid now the way they put it out. I think Supergirl herself, again, great character, Billy Alcock, a great Supergirl, but not in the greatest of movies, and just the way she was set up, she wasn't set up to succeed from James
Dude,
Gunn.
I hate how the media is like lambasting her, and it's not even about the movie being bad. They're like attacking her as a person. Like we have gotten locked into just like such crap journalism like over the years. It's like high school bullying, man. I hate it. But the what was the other one? Young Washington. So what's funny is that like there are certain like publications that I've seen are like praising this movie like it's just the most amazing thing ever. They're like, it was so successful that a sequel has been greenlit already. But what did you say it was making? It sounds like something slightly
20
insignificant,
million.
right? 20
Yeah.
million. Yeah,
And it's not going to go worldwide for obvious reasons. Nobody else across around the world cares about young
yeah.
George Washington. And then, but you know why, Josh? The action sequences reportedly, and actually the director confirmed it and embraced it, were made with AI. So, that's maybe to
Oh
help
my
with the budget
gosh,
wise.
man. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can say about this. We're not that kind of show, but it's I don't know, but my brother was excited about it, and I maybe I'll watch it at some point. But I just like I'm not too concerned by this movie either. So it's not something that's on my radar. It's like, oh, I need to think about this. So it's not I don't know.
It's critically mixed, but again, the user score, which are very important, have them rated high, so that's good. If it's pleasing the crowd, it's pleasing the audience, then that's what really counts the most for Young Washington. We'll see what happens, AI and all. But again, a down weekend at the box office domestically. But Minions and Monsters, if you have thoughts on if this is the beginning of the end for Despicable Me and Minions, please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Oh, and Obsession has gone over $400 million worldwide. An absolute success story indeed. Absolutely. Just, man, just so much on that movie.
Hey, so while we're talking about movies, right? So they officially announced the release, right, of Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, the home release. Hold on. It is Infinity Castle release date. Sorry guys, give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Which
so
we
they
both saw
announced
in the
it.
theaters, by the way.
Yeah. July 28th, right? July 28th of this year. What they did not say was gonna, so it's gonna stream on Crunchyroll and
Of
select
course.
platforms, right? So
They announced it at Anime Expo this past weekend, I believe. Is that
yeah,
correct?
yes, but what it will not be releasing on is physical media. Crazy, right? Like it's already begun. This is Sony, right? They're
Yep.
ceasing production because they own Crunchyroll. Don't
Yep.
they? I think they own. Yeah.
Yep.
So
They
they're
do.
ceasing production of physical media, but it's like I think they're already slowly phasing it out with their home video releases. So you
Yep.
will not be able to own Demon Slayer, and if you do, it'll be exclusive probably to Crunchyroll, and it'll be in a very limited run because that's what they're doing. Everyone keeps asking, like, "Hey, when are you going to repackage Dragon Ball or Gundam or whatever?" And they won't do it anymore. They're phasing everything out. So
It'll go on Netflix. It'll go. They can't resist Netflix. They have a good deal
yeah,
with Netflix, so you'll see it on Netflix if
yeah.
you
But
pay
I mean,
attention.
this is where we are going to see a sharp spike in people either pirating or using recording software on their computer to record these movies because why rely on a studio to make a physical copy when you can just record it and put it on a disc yourself, right? And package it yourself and stick it in your shelf. Don't sell them because that is pirating. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's weird. It's not something they're going to start in 2028. I think it's something that they're already starting. They're already phasing it out in the lower levels of the company.
Before we head on out, I do want to give some love to Nintendo. Before we head on out, no Marvel as far as review today, so we're going to save that for next week as we continue our countdown to Avengers Doomsday. But what I do want to give a love because I couldn't get to it last week was Starfox. The remake of the original Starfox and N64 big hit has been remade and actually has been quite lauded by a lot of people, a lot of fans. I wanted to hear your thoughts on Starfox on Switch 2 before we head on out.
So Star Fox for me is a franchise I never really got into. Like I watch people play it, but it's not something I ever was like super fond of myself. But I've spoke to Brian. He really liked it, but no,
Short.
I'm
It's
glad.
really short though. People got to understand it's super short.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just Star Fox is one of those games where you're not going to have like a very expansive experience like
Yes.
most, like a Mario game. But like I said, like I'm glad that it's doing well. I'm glad that some of these old like Nintendo properties are still managing to hit after all these years. And Star Fox is one of those more because wasn't the last one that came out? I forget what it came out on, but
Not very
wasn't that
well received.
not a very good experience. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see this, and I wonder too if his little cameo in Mario Galaxy had anything to do with like getting people excited about it or not. But yeah, really great to see Star Fox back and doing really well.
I think I will go ahead and say right now that it bodes well for Ocarina of Time that's coming out later this year as far as that remake is concerned. And that's something I am glad to see if that's the case because, people are very worried about ruining their Ocarina of Time experience. So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
see what happens there. Just the price, though, the price tag of $50 for Star Fox for a decidedly short game. I think people have that issue with it, but otherwise they are definitely loving the nostalgia for sure. I think there was one on the Wii U Koopa as well. Yeah, but again, I've not heard of any Star Fox that's been beloved since the N64 version. So was a remake of that one, and they looks like they got it right, Josh.
yeah, yeah, and good for them, man. Now we just need another Super Mario entry because it's been 2016 was the last like mainline Mario game. So I wonder like what they're doing with this. What's the plan? So everyone are clamoring for a Mario Odyssey 2 or some sort of like just new experience in the Mario world. Give it to us.
Give it to us indeed. My friend, it's been a great episode. Unfortunately, had a lot of bad news to share in the world of video games, but any last quick thoughts before we head on out?
No, Jamie, good talking to you, man. Miss you guys.
Miss you, Jamie. Just hopefully all is well with you, my friend. Again, great to have you watching us, and hopefully you'll be back on the show at your convenience, my friend. But as always, Josh and I TJ and I, we've got you covered each and every week here. Looking forward to what TJ will have to say as Moana comes out later this week and The Odyssey comes out next week. Looking forward to that as well. So for Josh the Great Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.
Welcome to the Pop Culture Cosmos.